How is it going, you dirty mother flockers? Today on Between Two Cars, we're going to be talking about some mistakes that new car guys make. These are mistakes that I have probably made, mistakes that I don't want you guys to make. Sorry, I just had lunch, so if I burp a little bit here and there, or fart, or shit myself, I apologize. But regardless, we're going to be talking about mistakes that car guys make, and maybe me making this video will save you guys from making the same mistakes. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, what is a mistake? I think a mistake is a learning lesson. I think you can make a mistake and learn from it. I had a very, very big mistake where my Supra caught fire and burned down. What caused that mistake? Well, if I had to guess, I would say bad wiring caused that mistake. I think I relocated the fuse box, and I think potentially my power cable coming from the back that didn't have a fuse or an inline circuit breaker grounded and caught the whole car on fire. I'm actually going to work on the Supra motor after this video, so if you guys are wondering where's the Supra content, I gotta get it almost ready, and then I'm just gonna pull the trigger and buy a chassis harness and buy an engine harness and get that thing running. That being said, yeah, I made a mistake. So let's go ahead and talk about some minor mistakes that some guys will make. Mistake number one, the most common mistake, buying aftermarket wheels that don't fit. Whether they be too wide or do the wrong offset, too tall, whatever it is, make sure you buy wheels that fit your vehicle. So here's a good example. You see how my tire is right up on the edge? Well, this big mamma jamma is so fat that I actually have to trim in here to make it fit. There used to be a solid inch of room, like an inch like ledge in here. Now it is probably as thick as like the tip of a pencil. Like it is super thin. It's yeah, maybe a couple mil, maybe 4 mil thick, if that, 3 mil thick. It's really thin. And well, that's because I'm running some big ass tires. If you don't buy the right offset wheels, you're gonna have to compensate either by trimming your body, by running a spacer, whatever it is, you gotta go around it. So one big thing that you can avoid is just do your research. Look up online, look up on forums, what people recommend on your vehicle. You can't just go on OfferUp and type in 18-inch wheels and then throw them on your car. There's different bolt patterns, different offsets, different back spacing. All of this stuff matters. It's a little complicated, but if you do some research and you type in 19-inch wheels for S550 Mustang, you'll see what people run. They will show you photos. They will tell you what they had to do to make them fit. Fitment Industries is a great source for figuring that out. I have used it on a lot of my newer cars. I used it on the STI. I used it on the S650. And it was just a good resource to see, shit, am I going to have to trim the body? Am I going to have to run a spacer? Am I going to have to roll my fender? Because ideally, you don't want to do any of that stuff. It's not fun. You don't want to start chopping up your car to make a part fit. If it's like a fully fledged race car, then it doesn't matter. But like, I would never chop into this to make wheels fit. That is stupid. This is a ZR1, ain't a base model, so I wouldn't do that. That being said, that is what one of the biggest mistakes that people make early on is doing that. Alongside that, another one is buying or deleting their mufflers. If you buy like a straight pipe kit for your G35, your Honda, even your Mustang, just don't. Nobody, like, straight pipes genuinely are pointless. They never sound good. Never. Like, again, we're not talking about exotics here. We're talking about shitbox economy cars, you know, daily drivers like a Mustang, a Camaro, even a Corvette. A straight pipe Corvette does not sound good. I'm sorry. It doesn't sound that. It's fucking loud, but loud doesn't mean good. Loud doesn't mean good. So, yeah, just because your car's loud doesn't mean it sounds good. So just don't do that. You're going to have a miserable time. Your car's going to be loud all the time. You're going to get harassed by police depending on where you live. It's not going to be pleasant. Your neighbors are going to hate you. Get a muffler. Like, even this car. I have a muffler on this car, and I've even thought about going to like a valved system to make it even quieter because it's still just super loud. But this is like a fully fledged, you know, almost purpose-built race car. When I take this car out, I take it out for one of two reasons: to test and tune, or to fucking race. Those are mainly the two reasons, or like a photo shoot, but that's a different story. Point is, I'm not daily driving this car. This car, which I do drive a lot more, I have a valved exhaust. I have a Valvetronic to where I can close the valves and make it quiet and open them and make it loud. Best purchase ever. I love that so much. It is the best thing you can do. If you have anything like that for your car, if you can find anything like that, I recommend it 100%. Whether you want to say Valvetronic is Alibaba or not, I don't care. The parts work, so it doesn't matter. That's up to you. That's your own opinion. Figure that out on your own. But straight piping your car, making your car too loud, or just, it's not worth it. It is honestly a miserable experience. You will hate that, so don't do that. Another thing alongside that can help make it worse is gutting your car. Look it, Buster. I don't know who needs to tell you this, but I'll do it for you. Ripping 50 pounds out of your car is not going to change your car that much. It's not. Unless you are building a purpose-built race car. And I'm not talking going to a fucking park and chill and racing some dorks on the way home. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking you are going and you are trying to set faster and faster times at the track for one reason or another. Whether you race for money, you just want the respect, whatever it is, that's your reasoning. That is the only circumstance in which I think gutting your car makes sense. I bought this car pre-gutted, and I wish it wasn't fucking gutted, because then I would have back seats. And if I had back seats, I can carry more people in there. And if I had back seats, I can put my dogs in the back seat. It fucking sucks. It is not a pleasant experience. I do not recommend gutting your car. Don't do it. It's not worth it. I promise you it's not worth it. Again, purpose-built race car, track car, whatever it is, sure. They have exceptions because you are in a certain environment for a very small fraction of the time when you're in those cars. You are not driving around on the street listening to your car have the most obnoxious drone ever. That's literally how this car is. It's just drony, because I don't have rear seats. So I'm trying to work on making it quieter, and there are some things that I am doing to help quiet it down, but yeah, don't do that. Don't recommend. 0 out of 10. Bad idea. Don't gut it. And seriously, if you genuinely think like pulling the foam rear seats out of your car is going to really change anything, the foam seats that when you pull out, you're like, wow, these weigh nothing. You just see how much it fucking weighs nothing. And if you race with a passenger, all of that weight you just ripped out is the same, if not more, because you're not pulling out 150 pounds. So, or if you have a big back friend, you're not pulling out 300 pounds. So again, don't gut your car unless it's like a fully fledged race car. Don't be stupid. Beyond that, buying cheap parts in general. I was talking with a buddy yesterday. We were cruising in the canyons and we were just having a chat. And he was saying how he's had to buy parts multiple times because he made the mistake of buying cheap stuff at first. There's this famous saying I like to live by. I fail when it comes to living by it, but I like to try. Buy once, cry once. That means you buy it once, it's going to sting a little bit. Like, oh, God, like I have to do it now. My tire sponsor doesn't make the tires that I need for this car anymore. So I have to go out and buy some tires. Oh, it's going to sting. Oh, God, I got to buy 355s. Oh, it's going to burn. But I have to do it. I have to buy them. So I'm going to go out. I'm going to go buy some 355s for this thing. And I'm going to pull, how much it costs out of my bank account and go do it. Buy once, cry once. I could go try to cheap out and get some mix match tires or something or some takeoffs. But why would I do that? It makes no sense. So buy once, cry once. Because if not, you're going to have to buy twice and you're going to cry even harder. So a perfect example, he bought a kit, a twin turbo kit for his S197. It was a takeoff kit he found on Facebook Marketplace. And he said he bought it. When he got home, it didn't fit his car. I guess the guy took it off of a Gen 2, even though he had it listed from a Gen 1, did not fit his car. So he had to go and buy some more shit to make it work, and he ended up spending more than he would have just spent to just buy the kit correct in the first place. So buy once, cry once. Just don't cheap out. Don't buy cheap China like coilovers or, cheaper injectors or cheaper intake or whatever it is. You can get away with cheapening out here and there, or if you want to make your own parts, sure. Like, hey, I want to make an X pipe because I'm sort of decent at welding, or, You know, it's even passable at welding. And I have the materials to do it. Make an X-pipe, make an axle back, whatever. But don't cheap out on like shit that matters, you know. Metal is metal, I understand that. Exhaust parts, like sure, I've made an exhaust before. You can get away with that. But don't cheap out because you want to, you know, oh shit, I want to save some money here and buy these seats. But they're just seats. How much cheaper are they going to be? And then you do a pull and they fucking recline. Don't cheap out. So I'm not necessarily saying to spend all your money on your car, but if you can't afford the better quality one, then just save up a little bit more. I don't know what else to tell you. I wouldn't recommend buying like a cheap China like wastegate or something. Again, can you get away with buying a China intake or a China turbo? Yeah, it'll probably last a little bit and it'll be cheap to replace when it goes. But if you buy stuff that like is important, like, you know, if you buy a cheap wastegate and you fucking overboost and blow your motor, that's gonna suck. I wouldn't recommend doing that. If you buy cheap injectors and they clog up because they're not rated for the fuel you're running, that's gonna suck. If you buy cheap motor oil and your shit blows up because you drive hard, that's gonna suck. So certain things you can get away with, certain things you can't. That's just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes. Also, another thing, another mistake new car guys make, don't wrap your car. Not like ever, but don't wrap your car. The first thing you do, oh, I bought this car, I'm gonna wrap it. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Unless your car's paint is absolutely fucked, don't do that. I'm talking more about newer cars though. Like if you go and you buy an S650 Mustang or a Dodge Challenger or Corvette, and the first thing you do is wrap it, unless you're wrapping it for the specific purpose of protecting the paint, I think it looks the dumbest thing ever if you have a stock new car and it's just wrapped a silly color, you know? Like it looks so stupid. I would do wrap last. Like if your first intention is, oh, I want my car to be bright red, even though I bought a white car, it looks so dumb. Just don't. You're rolling around on crazy ride height and you have this bright red car. It looks so stupid. So just wrap. I would do wrap last, personally, as you can see. Save that for last. I like slapping this car's hood. It makes a nice sound. Like, ooh, yeah, spank that shit. That being said, also, I mentioned ride height. Yeah, don't slam your car. It is like cool, yeah, to have like good fitment, but you know what's cooler? Having functional fitment. I know, crazy thought. I had this car on the Apex wheels when I first bought the wheels. I still have them. They're going to be going on sooner than later, it seems, since I'm going to have to buy tires. But, ooh, that was good. I bought this car. It was on Apex wheels for a while. And, yeah, they were fucking low. Like, I lowered the car, and it sat real pretty. However, that being said, just because they sat really pretty, when I put the stock wheels on and it was still slammed on the suspension, dude, this thing was like a fucking lowrider. It was like just cruising, like super low. And I drove it to Vegas like that, not even realizing how low it was. Eventually, I raised it back up. Like it's actually higher now than I had it on the lowered suspension, and it's like it's actually drivable now. Like I could go in and out of driveways and not fucking die. So, yeah, don't slam your car. It's not that fun. Unless you're like a hardcore stance guy and you just like destroying your car, don't slam your car. I don't recommend that. That is bad. Also, don't don't just buy shit for the sake of buying shit. This is a problem that people do as well, where they'll buy a car, they'll start going crazy modifying it, and then they'll give up like really quick. And it's like, you just wasted all of that time and all of that money buying that stuff, and you gave up, you threw in the towel, dummy quick, and sold it or something like that. Like, there are so many people that I've talked to over the years, and they have these crazy ideas of what they're going to do to their car, and they start buying like parts and shit to piece it together, and then they sell the car, and they're stuck with the parts. I know a guy, he had a Mark V Supra. Sorry, I'm ripping a scab off. I don't know. I just scratched it and it just came off. But he had a Mark V Supra, bought turbo kit, all this shit, supporting mods, sold it or traded it in, went and bought an S650. So now he's stuck with all these parts, and he doesn't. I mean, yeah, you could sell them, but you know, it's like, don't just impulsively start buying shit for whatever reason. I wouldn't recommend that. So we will now transition into a clip that I recorded earlier about. That being said, today I'm going to make a video that is going to upset a lot of people. I'm going to tell you guys what I consider a supercar, and some cars that might be supercars that I don't think are supercars, and some cars that aren't that I think are. And it doesn't make sense. The term supercar, I think, is a bad term. I think there needs to be a car term between supercar and exotic car that bridges the gap. Because you have sports car, which I consider like a Mustang, a Charger, a Challenger. But then you have like Demons and GT500s. Then they're pretty super, but they're not supercars, but they're still sports cars, but they're sports cars that can beat supercars and exotic. You see what I'm saying? I think the terminology is really bad, but let's get into it. First things first, let's start out with a heavy hitter. Boom! Boom! C8 Corvettes. Base model, not a supercar. Z06 or E-Ray, I'd kind of consider those supercars. They have the supercar sound, they have the supercar look. They're not a dime a dozen. I'd consider those supercars, and they kind of have the supercar price tag for now. ZR1, is that a hypercar? I don't think it's a hypercar. It's got hypercar performance, which is kind of crazy, but I don't think it's a hypercar. I think it is definitely a supercar. But once again, I don't know if it would be an exotic car because it's a US sports car. You could buy a base model for 50 grand, but now you have one that's 200 grand. Is it exotic? Is it what makes an exotic an exotic? Is it from where it comes from or how rare they are? These terms need to be fucking answered. I need to get Doug DeMuro in here so he can figure this out. Or maybe he already has and I'm just stupid. Point is, exotic, not exotic, super, not super. I think the ZR1, the C8 ZR1 is the closest thing to a exotic or supercar that GM has ever released. That being said, let's go down a generation. C7 ZR1. I don't think that's an exotic car. I don't think that's a supercar. I think that is a high-value sports car because so is this. I don't think this is a supercar. It's kind of weird because at my local Cars and Coffee, the big South OC one, they allow C7 ZR1s to park in exotic car parking and supercar parking. But they don't allow me? How dare they? This is the Blue Devil, motherfucker. You don't allow the Blue Devil in the supercar parking lot? Mother cocksuckers. But you see my point, though? The C6 and C7 ZR1s are very, very similar. I mean, performance-wise, they're very, very similar. Yeah, I think the C7 is a little bit more refined. Probably has faster track times and stuff like that. But, I mean, power output, I think weight, I even think this takes that. I think a stock C6 versus a stock, no, they make like, what, 750? Never mind. Corrections. We all have corrections in life. I was thinking C6 or C7 Z06, my bad. Point is, does an age make a car less super? Because you might say, oh, well, your car's too old to be a supercar. Well, look at the old Countach and like the old Diablos. They're not fast cars. They're not anything special. I mean, they are, but I mean like performance-wise. But, you know, they're going to be in exotic car parking. So you see, like, this is where it gets a little foggy. I don't think this is a supercar. I'm not dumb enough. I like it not being a supercar because then when I beat supercars, I feel more super about myself. So that's cool. But I think this is a high-value sports car. I think a C7 is also a high-value sports car. Definitely overpriced. And the C8, I would say, is the closest thing to a supercar. I think that is as close as possible, just like the Ford GT. I think the Ford GT, both of them, are supercars. I don't know if I would consider the newest one a hypercar. I know some people do, but it's definitely a supercar, 100%. The price tag of it and everything nowadays, it makes it more into hypercar territory, but I don't think price tag really negates where a car sits. You know, like again, there's some old ass Porsches that go for multi-million dollars and they're slow as snails, you know? So I don't think price tag is a factor when deciding where a car sits. Because you can also buy Dodge Demons that are just as expensive as, you know, the new C8 ZR1. You could go buy a $250,000 special edition Dodge Demon, but doesn't make it a supercar. I think it's a high-value sports car. All right, now let's start getting into actual, like, supercars that cars people consider super. R35 GTR, not a supercar. I love that car. I love the R35. I think it's a cool car. It was very close to sitting right here where this thing is sitting. I'm happy I didn't because this car is way more fun in my opinion, but I don't think it's a supercar for one specific reason. People call it the supercar killer. How can a supercar be a supercar killer? That's like a god being a god killer, you know? It doesn't make sense. Like I'm talking like Marvel's, you know, shit. And the point is, it's not a supercar. It is a high-value sports car. It is pretty super, and it's pretty cool and fast, and it's exotic, but it's not a supercar. It's not an exotic car. So can't be an exotic car killer or a supercar killer and share the badge. That just doesn't make sense. So R35, although I do like, it's definitely not a supercar. Audi R8. I don't think the Audi R8 is a supercar for one specific reason. You can buy it in a V8 trim. I think if you can buy a car in a lower engine trim, it makes the car less super. I think it's a high-value sports car. I don't think it's a supercar. Oh, cry me a river. You guys are already typing, it's the same as a Huracan. No, it's not, because one has an Audi badge and one has a Lamborghini badge. I know they're the same car. I know they are. I'm not fucking stupid. But if you had an Audi R8 and a Lamborghini Huracan parked side by side, one is definitely more super than the other. I like the Audi R8. I think it's an okay car. I don't know if I would buy one, but you could do some really cool stuff with them if you're smart. That being said, I don't think it's a supercar. They're not even that fast. It's like, especially like the Gen 1s, that's not that super. Just go buy a Gallardo. If you want to be slow but have a supercar, buy a Gallardo. So, yeah, cry me a river. The Acura NSX. I would kind of consider the Acura NSX a supercar. Kind of. I don't think it's a great supercar, but it's pretty limited. They're pretty rare. I think their values are going to go up eventually. I'm talking about the new one, not the old one. Yeah, I think they're pretty fitting for the most part in the supercar aspect. They have the supercar looks. They have the supercar performance for the most part. And yeah, I would consider it more of like a supercar. They definitely had the supercar price tag when they came out. Now you can get them for fairly cheap depending on trim and everything, but I would consider that more of a supercar than like the R35 or a C6 or C8, my bad. So that might be the one that most people disagree with me with, but I think it makes the most sense. Like, how often do you see an Acura NSX compared to an R35? At least where I'm at, you never see Acura NSXs. Never. If you see an Acura NSX at a car meet, like, it's actually like standing out because you're like, oh shit, like I've never seen that. But you see R35s a dime a dozen here. Same with C8s, same with Audi R8s. So I would put an Acura NSX, the one limited W that they get, I consider that more of a supercar. So again, you don't have to agree with me. It's just my opinion. My opinion ain't right. Not all the time, so don't worry. But yeah, that's where I put that. Let's continue on though. Obviously, I think any McLaren, any Lamborghini, any Ferrari, I would consider those all supercars, exotic cars. That all makes sense. But let's move on to BMWs. Is the M5 CS a supercar? No, sorry, not a supercar. Stupid expensive, stupid, great performance. It's not a supercar. I'm just gonna say it. At the end of the day, it is a souped up BMW 5 Series. I don't think any of the M cars are supercars unless you go back to like the M1 or something, or the 1M. You know what I'm talking about. Mercedes does have supercars. I think the AMG GTR, I would consider that a supercar. I think that's a fair assessment. I think that is one of the rare Mercedes W's. I think that one's pretty rare. GT500s and Hellcats, we already kind of covered this. Not supercars. Don't think those are supercars. Sorry, don't think they're supercars. Just like a Z06 or even a C601. They're not supercars either. Good performance cars, good sports cars, yeah. Not supercars. What other supercars? Oh, here we go. Oh my God, I forgot about this one. You guys are going to shit your pants right now. Porsche 911 GT3 or GT3 RS. Not a supercar. That is a fucking race car. That is not a supercar. I'm sorry to tell you that. That is not a supercar. Once again, it is a souped up 911. That's all it is. I don't care. The GT2 or GT2 RS, maybe that'd be closer to supercar, but I don't think most people, and I think this has to do with what makes a supercar. If most people don't know what the fuck they're looking at, it's probably not that super. People, even dipshit NPCs, understand Lamborghini, super. McLaren, they'll still call it a Lamborghini, which means it's super. Ferrari, they'll still call it a Lamborghini, which means it's a supercar, right? We all understand that concept. They can tell just by looking at it. Most NPCs will see a GT3 RS and be like, it's a weird looking Porsche, you know? They're not gonna know. So I think that has to do a little bit, as stupid as it sounds, as superficial, you know, surface level, as dumb as that sounds, I don't think the GT3 or GT3 RS is a supercar. And it also kind of goes back to my Audi R8 reasoning. You can buy that car as a base 911 right from the get-go. You know, yes, it is not the same car. It is the GT3 RS is a fucking fully fledged, crazy engineering marvel race car. It is absolutely insane. It costs, you know, as much as a house. It is fucking sick. But I don't think that makes it a supercar. I do think looks have to play into it. I don't think everything just has to be about price and performance, because you could buy and piece together some crazy kit car and make it go crazy. It doesn't mean it's a supercar. So that might be the one hot take that I have. I don't think the GT3 RS or the GT3 is a supercar. And I'm not just hating because I can't afford one. Trust me, like, that's not why I'm hating. If I had that kind of money, I still don't think I would buy that car because of two main reasons. One, I would want a car that would, if I'm paying that kind of price, I would want a car that would draw that kind of attention of, like, you know, a $500,000 car. Think about what you can get for $400,000 to $500,000. $300,000 to $500,000. You know, you can get some cool shit. You can go get an Aventador or something kind of crazy. And if I'm spending that kind of money, I'm gonna buy something kind of nuts, like a 765 or something like that. You know, something ridiculous. I don't think I would buy a GT3 RS. It's not a bad car. We know that. That's dumb. But the second reason why I wouldn't buy it is we are never going to be good enough drivers to experience that car at its fullest potential. We are not track gurus. We don't have kind of money to spend hours or days at the track. Now, if you had that car, you might have that kind of money, but do you have that kind of time to do that? It is very, very, very rare that you see people with these cars. There's a few on Instagram that actually push them, but it is very, very rare that you see those people genuinely driving that car even a fraction of its fullest potential. I took this car to the canyons last night, and I was pushing this bitch. I mean, there were a couple of times where it got a little squirrely. I mean, I'm talking, I turn traction control off and I fucking send it. And I still don't think I'm getting even close to pushing this car to its fullest potential. So why would I go out and buy a car that has a higher fullest potential and not use it? Again, that's like people fucking love throwing track times at you and, oh, that car can do this and this and that. The car could fucking do that. You fucking can't. So kiss my ass. I don't care if you think that that car is going to make you the best driver ever. It doesn't matter. If you play baseball or any professional sport and you start taking steroids, yes, you will gain muscle, you will gain the ability to, you know, maybe hit the ball further or throw a football further or whatever, or tank a motherfucker even better, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that you can actually put your barrel to the ball. It doesn't mean that you have the technique to accurately throw a football. It doesn't mean that you have the speed to actually, you know, handle some shit like that. It's the same thing with the car. Yeah, you can go out and buy a car that can do that crazy shit. But if the driver doesn't know how to do it, then what difference does it fucking make, you know? So, yeah, GT3 RS, not a supercar. It is fucking close. I would consider it more of an exotic car than a supercar, and I don't think exotic cars are necessarily all supercars. You see what I'm saying? These fucking terms, they make no goddamn sense. They make no sense. I don't make the rules. I'm just putting down the rules right now. I'm writing the rules right this second. So, yeah. Let me think of some other cars really quick. Like I said, GT3, GT4, don't even get me started. I fucking hate that car. Yeah, I don't like that car at all. I think that car is just genuinely ugly. Like, I just don't like that car. Again, probably great, handling, whatever. If you buy a GT4, don't even get me started. Don't even want to hear it. Yeah, damn. All right, well,